Bishop James Lavert Davis, presiding prelate for the 7th Episcopal District. Mother Aurelis B. Davis, supervisor. Presiding elder Philip C. Anderson. And even though I'm a presiding elder, I'm going to tell you who he is. He's the greatest presiding elder in all African Methodism. And one day I'm going to grow up to be just like him. Area consultant Sandra A. Anderson, the greatest area consultant in all African Methodism. And one day Sister Donna Black will grow up to be just like her. And my area consultant, the best thing God ever gave me after Jesus, Sister Donna Black. To all the pastors and their spouses, the laity, members, visitors, and friends, we greet you all in the joy and the love of the Lord. This is a rough agenda. I'm not going to follow it to the letter, but this is a rough agenda of what we're going to do tonight. And let me just say, all of the pictures in the are like the checks. Those are real checks from real organizations to AMEs. So this is all about us. And I'm going to start with tithing. The heart of stewardship begins with tithing. But I think we've been misled. And part of the reason we were misled is we were brought up in a part of Christianity that was developed by those who were slave masters and developed by those who participated in genocide and developed by those who had doctrines like manifest destiny that allowed them to do all kinds of crimes in the name of the Lord. And so they pictured this God as this hostile God that made up rules, and the sovereignty of God was his business, not ours. And we just followed along with it, not realizing that that's not the God we know. The God we know is in the face of Jesus Christ. And he loves everybody, regardless of their race, their creed. And so even when he develops something like tithing, it's all about us. Tithing benefits the believer. Yes, it does bring resources into the storehouse, but God wants to teach us how to be more like him, and he's a giver. And so he gives us this notion of tithing. And so I think when we present tithing, it's not just about taxing people. That's not what tithing is about at all. It's about our own personal growth and our own personal and spiritual development. So let me just tell you some of the benefits of being a tither. And these may be things we want to teach to our members. Tithing teaches us to live a disciplined life of giving. God is a giver. God loved us so much, he gave his only begotten son. And if God is a giver and we are his children, we are by nature givers. And tithing helps us develop that. Tithing teaches us to develop and enforce boundaries. The lyric in the song, prone to wander, Lord, I feel it. And when it comes to finances, that's the easiest place to wander away. Tithing teaches us how to put boundaries on ourselves, how to set these areas in our lives that, how to set boundaries from the areas in our lives that will cause our detriment. You can't spend everything you make. And tithing teaches us to put a boundary there. To say, hey, I'm going to give 10% to the Lord, and we can put other boundaries. If I'm going to give 10% to the Lord, I can also give 10% to my future saving. And so that's the AME stewardship plan, 10, 10, 80. 10% to God, 10% to my future, and 80% to live on now. And let me just say this, if I'm teaching my members that, they're going to develop that skill of saving, because that next line I have, tithing helps us to strengthen the saving muscle. If you think of your biceps and triceps, they work together. Tithing could be the bicep and saving could be the tricep. And so I'm big in teaching people to tithe and to learn how to live a disciplined financial life. And if we allow our members to live a disciplined financial life, we're going to see more in the offering basket, and we're going to see more joy on their faces. And that's a positive. But churches have to support the tither. And one way we can support the tither is to provide a clear annual giving expectations. You know, it's hard to be a tither and you don't know if the pastor's going to ask for extra $100 on this Sunday, or all of a sudden there's a new fundraiser, there are those unexpecteds. Don't hear me say that. There aren't. and we should have some kind of contingency in mind. But if I want to help my tithers, I need to let them know what special offerings will take place throughout the year. And they need to know that before the year begins. We're going to have a special offering for Mother's Day, or we're going to have a special offering at the church anniversary or whatever. And so they can budget that into their lives. They know up front what the church is expecting of them. That helps tithers. It helps tithers if we don't ask for everyone to give in the same category. Now, I know the AME Church, I've been in it all my life, and it's not unusual for us to say, I want everyone to give $100. Well, $100 to Sister A might be an easy thing to do, but $100 for Brother B might be quite a challenge. And so when we do provide guidance for giving, we should bear in mind that everyone is not on the same in the same place, and everyone cannot give the same gift. And if you think about tithing, it's fair. If you only got a dime, you only need to tithe a penny. And that penny is just as important to God as the person who had $1,000 and tithed 100. In God's eye, they're the same, the penny and the 100. And so we can't always expect each member to give the same amount of money. And I know AMEs, we do that, but maybe that's someplace we can grow out of. We need to share with the congregation the budget. These are the things the church is going to spend money on this year, and these are the reasons why. And every member of the congregation that would like to have a copy of the budget should be able to get one. I know we've been so secretive with our budgets and, so secretive with our paper, but the more your members know about the finances of the church, the more likely they are to give. And we need to track the budget at the official board meetings. We need to let the members know we're on schedule, we're ahead of schedule, we're behind schedule, and that will impact their giving. We need to provide an annual personal stewardship class. And this is a John Black thing, it's not in the discipline, but I always offer my congregations, when I pastored, a stewardship class every year. I also did a sermon series on stewardship every year. And it wasn't about putting more money in the church, it was about putting more money in their pockets. How to help them to be good stewards of the money that comes into their hands. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a few minutes. And at the end of the year, we need to provide them with their tax receipt, an accurate one. This is what you gave last year. This helps tithers. This helps tithers. Here are some stewardship courses. And by the way, the PowerPoint I will share with Elder Anderson, and he may share this with whoever he sees fit. And so some of the things you're seeing will be, you may not have to take notes for them. They'll be in the PowerPoint. Bishop Green brought Buster Soares and D Free. And D Free is free if you want to use the Udemy website. You can get D Free for free. I have used Dave Ramsey, and I use him. I don't like his politics. I don't like his humor. I think he doesn't understand good debt and bad debt. But I'm going to say this man changed my life for the rest of my life. Dave Ramsey changed my life. And if I want to say any strength of Dave Ramsey, it's the fact that you have to take bad debt seriously, and you must have an emergency fund. If you don't get anything else from Dave Ramsey, but those two things, that can change your life for the rest of your life. Crown Financial Ministries is the grandfather or grandmother of all the other programs, and they're still out there, and they're Bible-based, and they're solid. I'm not quite as familiar with the last two, but I wanted to update and give you some more contemporary sources. So Biblical Personal Finance Curriculum by Ron Blue Institute is getting high levels of approval. And Biblical Stewardship Series by Biblical Stewardship Educational Ministry has a high level of approval. So those are different ones. And offering that course every year reminds people that if we can't be good stewards of money, how can we be good stewards of the true riches of the kingdom? And so every year I feel it's important to provide stewardship training for your members. So writing the vision. This means getting your calendar and budget together as well as your strategic plan. And I'm just going to share one church's testimony with you, and I want us to kind of feel it. So this is St. Mark and Johnsonville.
One of the things that I would really like to talk about the fact that when Dr. Black came in as our consultant, he excited the congregation, first of all, because he did something that was unfamiliar with them, but it excited them. He formed a strategic planning committee. And I think that empowered them and the committee members to feel that they could do something that was extraordinary out of what they felt was their realm of expertise. It changed the vision from internal to external for ministry. From that committee, we did a survey, and it was interesting to see all the things that we found, things that we were doing well, things that we could improve, and things that we needed a whole lot of improvement on. And that helped us to look back at what we've done and then pretty much get a better plan for the future. And within all the things that we're doing, just having Dr. Black guide us through it, because it was unfamiliar for us. We started doing things, we studied the demographics of the community, Johnsonville, Poston, Luke Woods, and we identified all the things that they needed and things that they didn't need, because it would be pointless to work on things that they already had. In finding out what we needed, then we were able to find a strategic plan, and we were able to use the resources that Dr. Black gave us to form a plan, because at that point, we had not done outreach ministry. It was foreign for us, but the plan was something that we felt that we could do. The resources were things that we felt were valuable. And from that, we found out there were things that we needed to do internally first. One of the things that we set up and Dr. Black sponsored for us was the Ramsey financial planning sessions, which I was amazed because they were eager to get into it. And I guess I was amazed because I had never thought that would be something that would interest them in a sense. From that, we started devising a plan. Unfortunately, COVID came in. But from all the things that we did and the things that Dr. Black went over with us, and it gave us a you can do ministry type of idea. And even when COVID came in, we found that we did outreach ministry in a way that we never thought we could do it before. And it gave them a thirst for outreach ministry. And we became a community church instead of just St. Mark beside the road.
Amen. And so we're seeing that, I'm going to get to the budget, but that's a part of a bigger program. And you heard her as that's Reverend McMillan from St. Mark and Johnsonville. They were shifting from being just that little church at the side of the road to being a major player in the community. She said, things were all in place and then COVID happened. So let me, just for the sake of being complete, let me share with you the rest of the story.
Farmers to Family was, when I say a rebirth, it was a rebirth, because it was during a time when everybody was locked down, COVID was, and it was like a very depressing time. When Farmers to Family came over, you and I talked, and the first thing when I first told them about it was like, well, we don't have, the resources. And then we found out that we had a wonderful sponsor who was sponsoring us, Dr. Black, first truck. And when they got that first truck, and that was that first thirst, and as they saw the cars coming in for the community and people from the community coming in, that first truck was like a high for them. It made them want to do more, and more. From that first truck, we continued to get trucks, and we continued to get people in the community. We ended up not just doing Johnsonville, Poston, and Luke Woods. We ended up with people from Dillon, people from Florence, people, family members would come to get things from St. Mark. We had a gentleman who would come, and he began to do a bread ministry. And he would come the days that our trucks came, and he would bring bread for the folk that were coming in. We had people it got to the point where people would come through and sometimes drop off donations because they were so glad to get the food. And it wasn't just Amy Church members or United Methodist. It was everybody it was like a rainbow at St. Mark. And it was also a time of fellowship because we had people who would come in who were not members of St. Mark who wanted to lend a hand and just be a part of that ministry. And the best thing about it is even after COVID, folks still remember St. Mark. And now we're, gearing up to get started again. In fact, Nancy Eby, who was one of, our director, she just recently expired. And so we renamed it from the St. Mark Amy Church Outreach Ministry to the Lenore Eby Outreach Ministry. And so, again, we're getting geared up and they're excited. And it was just, like I said, that outreach taught us, it doesn't matter how small you are, doesn't matter what you don't have. It is the fact that you can do, you just got to make an effort to get it done.
Okay. So you heard with St. Mark, we went through this very detailed strategic planning session. And it was actually, we spent about 10 weeks getting them ready. You don't have to spend 10 weeks, but you can do it in the bridge. So get your budget committee together and you need to ask, what have we been called to do? Why is this church in this neighborhood at this time in history? What have we been called to do? We often start with the wrong question. How much money can we raise? Wrong question to start with. Mission. What is our mission? Why are we here? And once you answer that, you're going to say, who have we been called to serve? Why did God plant this church in this neighborhood? Why aren't we in another neighborhood? There's a reason. And once you find that, you're 2/3 there. The next thing would be, when will you serve them this year? So this is actually one of the churches in the Beaufort district, and that's just that outdoor pantry, and they do that once a week. So they can put that down on their calendar. We're going to do this once a week. And then the last thing is, how much will it cost to do this ministry? So that's your budget. So that's gotten you through the strategic planning situation without going through 10 weeks. Just starting with your mission and then looking at the cost of getting that mission done. And don't stumble when you get that number. That should include your Sunday worship, your business, your building upkeep, and all those things. And we're going to get to that in just a second. But that's how you got there. If you start with the numbers, you aren't going to have any excitement in your church. You aren't going to have any enthusiasm, any passion. It's going to be this burden that you have to bear. But when you start with ministry, there are people who want to help you to do ministry. And that actually is my world. People want to help you to do ministry. And they'll go the extra mile to give to you. I'm going to talk a little bit about community ministry, and then we're going to put up a budget. So community ministry, that's serving God by serving others. It's preaching the gospel every day through consistent acts of kindness. This is preaching. Handing out food at a food bank is preaching. It's ministry to others regardless of their faith, creed, religion, race, gender, class, or sexual orientation. When you hand someone a box of food, you don't care if they're male or female. They're hungry. And you're doing Matthew 25. Examples, here's just a long list of examples of community ministry: food pantries, clothing drives, shelters and housing assistance, youth programs, elder care, counseling and support groups, educational programs, health and wellness, disaster relief, prison and reentry ministries, and the list goes on and on and on. But your church has been called to do some of these, and that's where you're starting. What have we been called to do? Why community ministry? Community ministries help us to fulfill Matthew 25. In Matthew 25, God judges the entire human race. He divides them into two categories: sheep and goats. And sheep are the ones who do the ministry of Matthew 25, and goats are the ones who did not. It focuses the congregation on mission and not means. I can change that word means to money. You're no longer focused on money, you're focused on mission or ministry. It fosters spiritual growth and development. Look at this next one. It frees congregations with overflow resources. Some of the things you will need for your church will come from the overflow of doing community ministry. It facilitates community engagement and collaboration, and it fortifies congregations' unity and purpose. So I'm going to stop sharing this screen, and we're going to pull up what a budget looks like, and then I'm going to, if I have time, give you a little bit more. But let's stop for just a second with this screen, and we're going to look at I'm sorry, I'm giving you the wrong one. Hold on. And I'm going to apologize up front. The budget worksheet does say Beaufort District on it because that's the district I'm in. This was not even developed by me. I wish I could take credit for this budget template. This was developed by Reverend Kathy Scheider, and she's the pastor of Zion AME Church in Hendersonville. And this has been sent to your presiding elder, and you may use it. So her approach is very appropriate. She started with what actually took place in 2023, 2024. She lists that out. And then what she expects to spend in 2024, 2025. And she starts with the connectional church and the numbers there. That's given to us, and not much you can do with that. Then she goes to the Episcopal district. And she's really following the asking sheet that her presiding elder provided her with. And you can see the different categories she has there of where they're going to be spending money. The part that we're focusing on in our presentation starts with item 5, the local church and its management. This is where we put our ministry needs in there and what we need to do ministry. And
Dr. Black,
yes,
you're not sharing that.
it's not sharing.
No,
Oh,
sir.
okay, thank you. Let's see, can we do that better then?
There you are.
Okay. Okay. So like I said, the first sections are dealing with who we are as AMEs and our assessments or our asking. And then item 5 begins with the local ministry and the things we need to put in there. And she's got it all the way down to the office supplies. And that comes from having evaluated what it will cost for us to do ministry in this environment. You see she has categories of building and grounds, the upkeep, the trustee budget here. In this church where she has Christian education, that's her big issue. You might add your soup kitchen there or some other ministries that you want to put on the item 7, item 8, item 9. She put the pastor at the bottom of the list. That's a good pastor. Item 9 in her case. And these are the things that are required to support the pastor. She gets a subtotal, and then some other little items are included that are kind of worship issues, and she has those in there. And then she comes to her income, and she starts with her tithes and offerings, the benevolence, the WMS, trustees, sons of Allen. You will put whatever your income sources are in those categories, whatever your income sources are in those categories. And then, of course, you total it up and you see what the difference is. I like a zero-sum budget. I like to try to get as close to having my income match my expenses. You don't win anything by having extra. You can make extra savings, which is one thing that's missing on this budget, savings and investing, but that is where that overflow is going to go. I'm going to put the PowerPoint back up again. Because you're looking at that and you say, well, where's this money coming from? How are we going to get some of this money? Well, I'm going to help us. I'm going to help us. Part of that is people will pay us to do ministry, but they're not particularly interested in paying us to do worship, which is ministry, or to take care of, fix our buildings. And so I'm suggesting that we use our outreach ministries as a way of supplementing, living in the overflow of our outreach ministries. And I want to share some big dreams with you. The lady that you see there with one of our previous past presidents is Ida Martin. And there she is standing with Barack Obama. And she's receiving the Presidential Citizens Medal. She's in glory now. She's was a member of Campbell Chapel AME Church, and Ida Martin started 2 501c3s. The first one she started was Bluffton Self-Help, and the second was the Bluffton Community Soup Kitchen. She started Bluffton Self-Help in 1987. And I was sharing this story in a different environment, and someone corrected me because I said she started at Campbell Chapel in Bluffton. She did not. She started this ministry in the trunk of her car in 1987. And now everybody wants to help her do ministry. She's in glory. But we're going to watch in this video where in one day, this ministry will receive $300,000.
Hundreds gathered in the Low Country over the weekend to support a crucial nonprofit that serves thousands of households.
Bluffton Self-Help hosted the Sips and Seafood Party at Hewitt Oaks on Saturday night. It was the 8th annual fundraiser for the organization that serves neighbors who are economically at risk. The event featured dinner, silent and live auctions, music, and testimonials from people whose lives have been forever changed by Bluffton Self-Help's programs. More than 350 people attended, and when it was all said and done, more than $300,000 was raised. I was honored to serve as the MC for this evening, and let me tell you, there was a great crowd on hand of people who truly care for their community. Now, these next few months are the busiest of the year for Bluffton Self-Help as we head into the Christmas season. They, of course, are our partner for the Holiday Hope Toy Drive that will get underway, believe it or not, next month.
Yeah,
So,
we're very close.
Literally just days away.
Mm-hmm. Now, every 501c3 is has to file what they call a 990. And this is the Bluffton Self-Help 990. Started right at a little small AME church, a little small church when they started. And this is their revenue in 2023, $3.41 million. They spent $3.14 million. They had assets close to $4.95 million and liabilities of $280,000. The second 501c3 she started is called the Bluffton Community Soup Kitchen, and they're still meeting almost every day at Campbell Chapel in Bluffton. Candace Valmont is the granddaughter of Ida Martin. And this is a clip from their PR video. Their PR video is about 7 minutes, and you're going to see less than half.
Bluffton Community Soup Kitchen was founded in 2011 by Ida Martin after she founded Bluffton Self-Help in 1987. That year, that small team did 500 hot meals in total. For last year in 2023, we did about 46,000 meals. We do hot meals, stick to your belly meals, grandma's cooking, chicken, we do pasta, spaghetti, Alfredos, pork chops, ribs, and still while being healthy, we always include veggies.
It's such an amazing thing, all of the hot meals on Mondays and Wednesdays.
My mother-in-law used to receive the meals from the soup kitchen. We thought it would be a great experience to be able to give back since the soup kitchen helped our family.
Me ha ayudado mucho en este tiempo que está bastante difícil. It's been a help this time with things being so difficult, being able to come and get food.
We also have an outdoor pantry that we allow our clients to come and community members to come shop on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. And that is in partnership with Second Helping. I mean, anything that you can find in the grocery stores have come through these stores and landed on these tables and gotten in the homes of community members. And it's a really great program in addition to our hot meals.
They also do have a thing called Ida's Closet, which also helps you, apart from getting groceries, helps you with household things as well. So I think that's a big plus as well.
Also, twice out the month, we do the Ida's Closet, which is amazing.
So we created Ida's Closet, which is a hygiene and household goods program. They get to come get a pre-bag bag. This upcoming week will be our laundry week, which our clients really love. And then we also have a closet that we fill up with little items that are a little bit too expensive to buy, because we do 65 households every other Thursday. Clorox wipes, trash bags that are still necessities. Also in the closet on the bottom shelf, I've included baby items for those clients that show us birth certificate. And then after they pick out their closet, we always give them a choice of either a gallon of milk or a juice. And then they always get a dozen of eggs.
Right now, you know how important a dozen eggs would be. This 501c3 pays rent to Campbell Chapel. Now, many of them are Campbell Chapel members, but they have such a large volunteer staff now. They pull from a rainbow coalition of volunteers, but they pay rent to Campbell Chapel. They pay the utilities for Campbell Chapel. They do upkeep on the building as far as replacing appliances in the kitchen and those kind of things. And they renegotiate their contract, their lease agreement every year. So as the soup kitchen does better, Campbell Chapel does better. It lives in the overflow of not just this 501c3, but of several 501c3s. This is their 990. In 2023, they raised $3.41 million. I'm sorry, yes, that's correct. I'm sorry, that's Bluffton Self-Help. This is their 990. They raised $229,000. They spent $212,000. Some of that they gave to their mother church. They have $128,000 in assets, and they have $466. That's not thousands. $466 of liability. I'm sure they've already paid that off. I'm going to skip this one. I'm going to go to the next one. Just about every church has a building that needs some repair. Campbell Chapel had a parsonage that would be condemned. And I'm thinking I do need to go to this one. I'm going to go to this video, and this is about a donor paying off Campbell Chapel's mortgage. But I want you to look at the building where the art is taking place. I want you to look at that building closely.
A mystery gift gives a Bluffton church a new sense of what it means to give. And now, thanks to the large donation from one and the collective gifts of many others, the church can continue to give back and do so much more. When an anonymous donor recently gave Campbell Chapel AME Church more than $500,000, the church was set free. It's now debt-free.
There's some folks who didn't have $500,000 to give us, but gave us the pennies that they had.
With the 14-year mortgage wiped clean, resources are freed up for more outreach. Like when Bluffton police and other church members volunteer in the weekly soup kitchen.
Wash it up. Wash it up.
The church also has a very creative way of raising money, mixing history and culture, preserving it for the future.
It's an honor to be chosen as a featured artist.
Hank Herring's collection is one of many sold by the church's nonprofit.
Being able to work in the community again really affords us to teach the children, which I think is really important.
And now the church can bring the community together where it all started.
Congregants that were here before we moved into the new building talked about the intimacy, the warmness of it.
Plans are in the works to renovate and restore the 1800s era church house.
This is a wonderful, safe place where we can deal with some of the difficult issues of our community.
And a place for celebrations, concerts, weddings, and worship for everyone in the community.
This is a place of giving. People give their time, their talent, and their treasure consistently here. So I feel that having the mortgage paid off is only going to release them to give even more.
The official kickoff for renovating the original church house is set for July.
Now, I want you to see what that parsonage looked like before a call to action, which is a 501c3, started right at Campbell Chapel by Campbell Chapel members. And it could have been any church. Any church can do what you see in these videos, any church. But anyway, the parsonage was just condemnable. And the church needed that income from the parsonage, but it was taking more money to put in it than they could ever get out. So the 501c3 says, we'll rent it as is and we'll fix it up. So this is what a call to action did with a condemnable building. The last thing I want to bring before opening this up for discussion is that the thing you didn't see in the budget, but probably the most important, are passion, people, and purpose. Those are the items you need in your budget. And of course, these are the same things that the bishop is encouraging us to focus on, changing from a spark into a big fire, passion, people, and purpose. I'm going to just share some volunteers with you and listen to their stories. How many paid employees you had and how many volunteers?
I had 0 paid employees, all volunteers. And it was awesome because it was not like I had to beat the bushes to get them to come. And these are not people who were, all of them were not young. These were some people who were 70 and 80 years old. And some of them weren't able to do a whole lot, but they could check off names and see how many boxes, just little things, get information. Because during that time, we collected information, and there were times when we just sent a note to folk, or we just called folk, just to see how they were.
There's one other thing. You did that rollout when you all got T-shirts and stuff.
Yes.
And so I'm going to give you 2 things. Talk about the rollout, but also talk about how you got the congregation to buy in. I know you put it on me, but I know you all were doing something because your stewards would show up. You know, everybody was excited. And I'm dealing with congregations that they've never done this before. Mm-hmm. They don't even think it could happen to them, you know. So how do they get that congregation excited?
The excitement started really when I came back from post-conference. You and I talked. When I came back from post-conference and I met with the stewards and some of the trustees, and I gave them the idea of what we were going to do. Because at that time, we just really needed something to pep the congregation up. And I guess I put on my cheerleader uniform, and I think I was just so hyped about it. They wanted to see what was going on. And so once we got the stewards excited, congregation came in, you came in, and I think the height of it again, for them, knowing somebody would drive as far as you did to come and help us. Because sometimes it just takes another person that's not part of the congregation to have a desire to help you to get somewhere. That will instill in you. If someone else has that much faith in God and faith in us, we can do it.
That is outstanding. Anything else you want to say? I want to ask that.
I just want to, basically that you were God sent. You, again, the way that you broke things down for them, it was a way that they could understand, a way that they could grasp, and a way that they could feel it was doable. And so it made all the difference in the world. You never said to us, you can't do because you don't have. It was basically, you don't have, but you can do. And so I think that was the biggest. So we thank you. Even now, we thank you. Even now.
I think that's my quote. That last statement you made is my quote that I'm going to put at the end of the video. That was perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
This is a paraphrase of what she said. You can't do it because you do not have. You may not have, but you can do it. Here's a gentleman very successful in his professional life, and now he just volunteers all over the place.
Gadsden, I'm a trustee at Camel Chapel Church, and the things that I do at Camel Chapel Church, I'm with the soup kitchen. I'm with a call to action, which is another 501c3. I'm with Holding 7, which is another 501c3. And, I find the time to do these things not because I'm interested in money, or I'm just loving it. I put more time in with these organizations, these nonprofit organizations, than I probably need to. I work harder now than I probably ever did, but it's more than just work. It's something that I do. I feel I'm giving back. I feel I'm helping. It fills me doing this work. So I'm just enjoying it. And I think I don't know how to spend my senior days any better than the way I do it now, by giving back, because God's been great to me and he's given me so much. I could never give back all that he gave me. So a great life, great wife, great kids. So that's one of the reasons why I do what I do.
One more volunteer, and this will get us to the end of my presentation.
How many volunteer hours do you put in a week between Campbell Chapel and your other activities?
Nothing compared to, first of all, it's like the title of your program, people, person, passion, etc. It just falls into my lifestyle and view of the world, and the opportunity from the standpoint to whom much is given, much is required. And the opportunity to serve and to connect in this special way with Campbell Chapel, and to apply some of the tools that I was able to garner over the years is, I think, is a blessing. And with Campbell and some other things I'm involved in, it just makes for a fulfilled life. I don't understand when people say, gee, I'm retired, what do I do? Because the opportunities that Campbell and some other organizations have provided me is just a natural extension of how I viewed my role in the marketplace and my church throughout the years.
I'm going to stop on that note, and I'm hoping I'm encouraging people to say, let's focus on ministry, And then we're going to develop a budget that allows us to do what God has called us to do. And it's going to cover all of the AME requirements, but it's also going to extend our ministry into the community. Elder Anderson, I'm going to pause at this point. I think you're on mute, sir.
You at the end, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. What a blessing. Thank you for sharing and enlightening us as to the ministry that is able to be done if we are committed to what God has called us to do. If you have questions now, you may ask them at this time. I ask you to put it in the Q&A, and we'll try to answer those questions for you tonight.
Dr. Black, one question came in saying, where did you find the vegetable distribution vendor? And I'm thinking maybe the person when you were talking about the vegetables that the church decided to share with the community.
Right. There are all kinds of programs out there that in the video from St. Mark, they were using Farmers to Family program, which I think has expired. But there's a group called Second Helpings. They're all over and they're active right now. Depending on which area you may fall under Harvest Hope. And when I was in the Northeast Conference, we fell under Harvest Hope. And Harvest Hope allows you to purchase for the purpose of distribution. You got to follow their system. Purchase, I think it was something like 7 cents a pound. And I used to joke and say, I can buy T-bone steaks for 7 cents a pound. But there are different ministries like that, like Harvest Hope or Second Helpings that will offer food items. Some grocery stores can even partner with them and they'll do things for you. But there are available resources.
Okay, and another question, do you advise to start the 501c3 first and then the vendor?
No, I actually don't. You may even find you don't need a 501c3. Define that ministry. Take something like Ida's Closet, where they're giving out these hygiene products. They're doing that today. That ministry goes on today. It started in COVID. Remember how we would give out those products when we were all isolated, and they didn't stop. They kept doing it, and they solicit a lot of their resources from non-grant sources, from donations from people. So a church could receive donations for something like that without being a 501c3. With my district, I'm saying those who don't have a 501c3, I'm asking them to go through their strategic plan first. And once they have, and not just a short one I showed us tonight, but a more intense, organized strategic plan with an outside strategic planner, because you need outside eyes, then that person will help you determine when to do your 501c3. You want to have some momentum. And it does take it takes a little time to get them approved, but you want to have some momentum, have checked all the boxes before you start this 501c3. That's my opinion. You may talk to someone else who may give you a different one, but there's a lot of ministry we can do without being a 501c3.
Okay, the next question says, do we need to do a feasibility or assessment study to know what ministry to do?
Absolutely. And it's all kind of ways to do that. A SWOT analysis is what we did with Reverend McMillan and St. Mark. But there's all kind of ways to do that. I just sat through on Friday the mayor of Hardyville's strategic plan. And I saw the gaps there, and I'm sharing that with the churches in that area. Here are some places where funding is going to take place, and here's some places where there's some real needs. And those two things will help you determine what your ministry is going to look like in that environment. And so, yes, I would definitely do my homework. The one other ingredient I didn't name is passion. Passion trumps research. When you have a group of members who have a passion to do something, they're on fire about it, God probably called them to that. So listen to that passion very strongly. I know a lady that does community ministry. She calls herself the community minister. And what she basically does is try to bring unity to the community. And you couldn't stop her if you wanted to. And so God has called her to that ministry. This lady paints rocks with Bible verses on them and leave them in strategic places throughout the town. She's always working on it. You can't stop her. And so then you need to say, how do we incorporate that into this ministry? So if you got a group of people that have a passion, that will trump your research. But I agree, do your research, do the feasibility, do the SWOT analysis, but listen to the passion also.
Okay, and the final one here says, would you share the vendors that you gave us tonight? And I'm thinking maybe they're saying like the list of places where you said they can get like vegetables or whatever and get.
And let me, well, I offered Harvest Hope and those groups. I think you also have to look locally on who's available, and they're all kind of resources. But I'll share what I have with Presiding Elder Anderson, and you can kind of network into that. And I'm just saying where I'm at in my district, we're going through a similar process that you're doing. Your presiding elder is my mentor, so we're going through a similar process. And what we're doing is benchmarking with other groups. So you can go to your local soup kitchen and say, where are you getting funds? Where are you getting resources from? And more than likely, they'll tell you. And so you can network with the groups that are close by. You can partner with them. But I will send you what I have. And if you're thinking just food ministry, and you do need to ask, is that the ministry God's calling your church to? It could be anything. Counseling. One of the churches in my district does respite for families that are giving care to their seniors. And they have some recliners in their fellowship hall, and they have the little exercise wheel, and they have the big screen TV, and they allow the families to bring their loved one there so the family can go shopping, or the family can just take an evening off. That's a powerful ministry. And it's with resources they already had. So I thought that was very, very well done. That church, Elder Anderson, that I'm talking about. So it's wherever God's calling you. There are all kinds of resources out there. The first thing is hear the call. Where is he calling us to? And then that'll determine where the resources will open up.
There's a Q&A question. Can you share other benefits of the 501(c)(3) and then what other things can your 501(c)(3) provide? Yeah,
I talk about walking in the overflow. One of the videos I didn't show you is of a volunteer for a 501(c)(3). She's white, she's Italian, she happens to be one of the best preservationists in the country, and she got involved with the 501(c)(3). And as she got involved with it, she offered professional services to the 501(c)(3) for no expense to the 501(c)(3). Right now, that particular 501(c)(3) has gotten national grants. You might have heard they got the Sacred Trust and the National Sacred Places in the National Trust grant, which are like the two mecca grants for preservation and in the Black community especially. So they got this. First, they got this person who's offering her expert volunteer services. Second, after spending maybe 5 years with the 501(c)(3), she joins the church. So now they have this wonderful member of the church. She's a tither. Now they have this wonderful member of the church who's a tither, but even more than that, she's a natural evangelist. Everywhere she goes, she talks about her new church and her new membership. Those kind of resources come in. That's that 3 peace, people, passion, and purpose. They will add to your church all the time. Depending on what the 501c3, to answer the question more directly, depending on what the 501c3 is focused on what kind of benefits. But I found a very easy thing is to have your 501c3s pay rent. They use your spaces, and they can grant write and include that as a part of their overhead, and to have your 501c3s pay rent. The call to action paid rent while they were renovating that building at no cost to the church. So work that in your partnership agreement. Many times the 501c3s will just budget in the mother organization. So that every year they're going to give X number of dollars to the church. So that all those hidden, what I call overflow benefits that come from having 501c3s on your campus that are partnered with you,
Do you still do for other churches as you did for Reverend McMillan's and Campbell Chapel, or make a recommendation who can and will do with the hands-on consulting?
Yes. I'm consulting with a lot of churches in my district right now, but I feel my Macedonia is small churches. God has called me to work with small congregations because that's where ministry takes place. Most of the people in this country go to a small church. You don't go to large churches, they go to small churches. And so I will work with anyone as my schedule permits. But I'm going to give a name. I am bringing in Denise Spencer, who used to be the CEO for the Low Country Community Foundation. And now she's a freelancer. She is tremendous. But Denise Spencer is a paid source for strategic planner. And she did the grant training for one of the 501c3s I work with. Any of your community foundations, and every neighborhood falls under a community foundation, will have those kind of resource persons. But I'm available as my schedule permits. I would offer Denise Spencer as a paid source, if you wanted to do a paid source, and she is outstanding. And then contact your local community foundation for other resources.
And one final comment. A person gave wise advice for the food feeding ministry, which was, you need to feed the needy with the greedy.
That's excellent. That is excellent. Excellent. Amen.
Thank you very much. Thank you all tonight for coming in. Thank you, Dr. Black, for coming and sharing and opening our eyes and ears to what's going on among us, for us, and a lot going on in us to be partakers of what you just lifted up and shared with us. We will grow from hearing and listening to the success that you have had in the area. I know of that success, and I know that when you are real, and you have worked hard, and you have members that work and give so much. What have it. That ministry is available for all of us to really to take part. There's still so much to be done, and a church don't have to be poor sitting on the side of the road. That's a way to make it. The good Lord will pour it out so much. It's up to us to stop and take time to see what the good Lord has done and become good ministers in the ministry of God, and allow the Lord to continue to work in our communities and what have you. I think you've been fantastic to share information tonight, and you have not held back anything. You have been open, and I appreciate that very much. And thank everyone from the Abbeville-Greenwood district who listened and gave an ear to this webinar tonight. I'm just overwhelmed with the information that you shared and the opportunity that is available for all of us to partake of. Thank you so much. And is there any more questions?
No other questions.
Will you bow your head with me just a moment? Eternal God, our Father, we thank you for the Dr. John Black, who you have guided into this ministry tonight to share with us. We have listened, we have heard. You have struck a spark in our life. Use us regularly without our permission to do the ministry that before us. Thank you for loving us and guiding us, and help us, to God, to be on fire for you. Bless those that are still open that need us to come in and go to work. Thank you for blessing us. We look forward to your guidance and your mercy. Keep us in your care. Dismiss us tonight from this meeting, but never from your holy presence. This we ask in Jesus' name. Amen. Good night.